Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Finding Me and the ITV networks. Today with a very special guest, the iconic, the legendary, the most amazing Sister LEILA Khaled. LEILA Khaled is a Palestinian activist and has devoted the majority of her life towards raising the issue of the occupation and the besieging of the Palestinian people. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with her and her works. I won't take up much time because I want to get straight to the question. So with that, I'd like to say welcome. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and thank you for giving me this time.
Thanks to you.
Sister LEILA Khaled, you know, there has been much that has been crafted in terms of propaganda in the media. And of course, as anyone who follows the media, you will know that language is a political tool. It can be used as a political tool and very often is a political tool. One of the things that has come about in this last few weeks in the run-up to your arriving in our country has been the comment by the South African Jewish Board of Deputies on a regular basis in different media platforms to say that the BDS organization, Boycott, Divestment, Sanction South Africa, is bringing you over, is actually showing their true colors, that they are showing that they are violent, that they are aggressive, that they do not support peace because they've invited a terrorist. You are a terrorist, and you should not be put together with Nelson Mandela because he's a South African icon. So how do you respond to that?
I recall saying to late Nelson Mandela, when he was released, the first thing I heard him in a speech, we're not going to stop armed struggle until the end of apartheid regime. The same saying we are using. We are not going to end armed struggle or our resistance, and our resistance with all means until we end the occupation. This is something human. This is a democratic saying, because if we want to speak about the atrocities of occupation, it's beyond the capacity of a people to bear. Now we have been occupied since 66 years, and now we are in the 67th year since we were forced to be kicked out of our homes and land and properties and villages, and still we are refugees. I think any people under occupation has the right to resist, by all means, including armed struggle. And this is mentioned in the Charter of the United Nations. Item 8 says people under oppression or occupation have the right to resist, by all means, including armed struggle. The Charter was based on the Magna Carta, which gives people the right for their freedom and dignity and for their rights. So when our enemies describe us as terrorists, let's see, occupation is terrorism. It's the peak of terrorism, while resistance is something legal. And I think we are using all means, including peaceful means. Demonstrations are peaceful means against occupation. BDS is a peaceful means for the whole world, not for the Palestinians only. How to support the struggle of the Palestinians for their goals, for return and right for self-determination, establishing our own state with Jerusalem, its capital, on our land. These are peaceful means, especially that South Africa, during the struggle against apartheid, the world succeeded in using boycott and isolation of the regime to help the people who are struggling against apartheid, and it helped. We are looking forward the same, that to change the balance of forces on the global level, people who express their solidarity for the Palestinian struggle, they are using peaceful means. It doesn't mean that they are against armed struggle.
Yes, no, I agree with you, because I read a quote that you mentioned somewhere where you said, Gandhi said that in the choice where you have only two choices, one is cowardice and one is violence, then you take up violence. I mean, I'm a strong supporter, and of course I believe that when you are under occupation, then you keep all the options open, and that it cannot only be BDS. But knowing that you are under occupation, that you are oppressed, that Israel is the aggressor, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, and together with many other Zionists the world over where the propaganda flows, have never ever condemned Israeli aggression, Israeli violence. You are oppressed, you are under attack, but you are the terrorist. How do you feel about that?
It's in their eyes, not in other eyes. In eyes of peoples, you just mentioned an honor for me to say the icon of a struggle. In my people's eyes, I'm a freedom fighter. Also, I'm a freedom fighter anywhere, whether by arms or by the language.
Okay, but now you've been doing activism for so many years. Do you find that the language is changing amongst the ordinary people? The ordinary people are beginning to see the lie in the propaganda, in this crafted media that has portrayed the struggle upside down?
Yeah, I know, but we are seeing now young people whom did not read all the history, but still they read something, and they are active in the BDS, for example, and in solidarity committees, in universities, in factories. This means that there is awareness now about injustice in the world, especially for the people who lived the sufferings of a regime which is a brutal regime. If we want to make this comparison, while I'm speaking about a country who lived under apartheid regime for many years, tens of years, and it left sufferings and it left atrocities. So it's very easy for them to understand, very easy to understand. In other countries, it's difficult, because the generations that we are speaking to them, they did not live the same way people who have the same experience. We still recall and this I heard it on the tongues of women, men, children, students, farmers here in South Africa. The same slogan that Nelson Mandela said, that the independence of South Africa is not complete until the Palestinians have their independence.
And I'm glad that you said that, because South Africa certainly is not yet free. We're still under the yoke of the imperialists, and we have still control. Economic power is not in the hands of the South Africans, so the South Africans are still facing a struggle of their own too. But while we're on that particular topic, there are very many taboos, like I said, how language is used. And so when people don't have knowledge, ignorance can be very dangerous. Yes. And so they fall prey to very many assumptions. And one of the assumptions that has been perpetrated, like the whisperings in amongst people in South Africa that I've picked up now from the different readings, is that, oh, LEILA is not a Muslim, oh, she's a communist, she's dangerous, she's a hijacker. How do you respond to that? And if you are a communist, then what does the communist ideology mean to you? And how is it then different? And how should people understand it?
I think that when we are speaking about the ideology, now this ideology that I believe in is a human one, which brings progress to the people. Of course, up till now, we didn't have a very real example. But let me turn you to Cuba. Cuba is under embargo for 36 years. Still, they cling to the socialist system and socialist ideas. And it is, Marxism is like science. And it teaches us how to analyze the changes in society and all over the world. it uses the rules of science and logic. And as I said, it brings progress to the people.
Okay, so we only have 1 minute before we go to a break, sorry. But before you conclude for me in this very quick 30 seconds, do you then believe that Marxism can be adapted to bring about a better society? It does not necessarily have to be the textbook, but that we can take the rules that will benefit.
I think Marxism says upon itself, it's not what do you call doctrine. It's about the way of thinking of things and the way of thinking towards what's going on the ground. It's not something like taboos that we are going to violate or something like that. But this does not mean that only if I believe in Marxism, I don't believe in other human values. And for example, Islam has values, and I'm proud of it. I love it. When it speaks about honesty, when it speaks about to be to your people, to defend your country, or all these values are also called by Islam.
Okay, so we have to go to a break. Okay. When we come back, we'll take the conversation further. See you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome to the second segment of Finding Me today in the ITV networks with Sister LEILA KHALED. And before we went into the break, Sister LEILA, you were explaining about your joy and I suppose your pride in being Muslim and sharing the Islamic values which you feel also fit in with other ideologies, and that Islam of course is no stranger to human rights or to humanity. And the Prophet Muhammad said the best of you is he who is best to mankind, and love for your brother what you love for yourself. So of course we understand all of these, but I have to ask you, there has been so much discussion about you as a female, as an activist, and so people bring in this conversation and say that LEILA KHALED is an iconic symbol for feminism and for feminist activity, etc. Do you believe that the struggle is only about feminism, that your role is only about feminism, or that there is a greater sequence of events here at play?
I'm proud I'm a woman, and we cannot divide feminism from national struggle, because I can't now. The main contradiction is with our enemy, is to restore our rights. Rights of women are a part of the rights of all human beings. It's human rights. So we cannot put one in front of the other. It goes parallel with it. And during the national struggle, women can, and they did, that they gained some of their rights. Because I understand that social issues needs time, because it's an inheritance of history, long history, against women. But it does not mean that we cannot achieve those rights while we are struggling for our independence or against occupation. And on the Palestinian level, yes, women gained that. In the document, independence document, it was very clear that women and men are equal in the Palestinian state, in the independent Palestinian state to come. So this is a recognition of the role of women in the national struggle. If women wait until the men achieve the national struggle and reach their goal, then we come to ask for our rights. I think this is absurd. This is not applicable and it's not acceptable. We are part of our people. We are part of the struggle of our people, and we are with men struggling for more rights for women in the mainstream of the struggle.
The one thing that bothers me is that why is it that Muslim women still have to ask for their rights when those rights have already been given to us? What is it about the Muslim majority countries, the Arab world, even Indo-Pak, etc., that has brought women down to this level? That now it's come to the point where we're not fighting only one struggle, but that we have multiple struggles. I mean, starting from the class system, and in India, if you look at the caste system. So there's many issues that women are fighting with, but why is it necessary for Muslim women to still ask for their rights when Islam has bestowed it to them?
But it's not implemented in the legislations. Still the legislations go to the side of men in many constitutions. For example, up till now, in some countries, in the constitution, they say all citizens are equal, irrespective of their color or religion, and they stop at their sex, which means that still the legislation did not give women their rights as human beings equal with men. By the way, I, for example, think that I'm not looking forward to be equal with a man who is also have reactionary ideas. I want to be a woman equal with a man who is free, so that we can all be on the same level and on the same basis.
Okay, so whilst we're looking for freedom, the first objective, I suppose, of the Palestinians, before you can even speak about freedom, is to gain liberation. And after you gain liberation, then the freedom of the society, the people, etc., will fall into place. But that freedom has been put as if the cart is before the horse, where people say that, oh, Palestinians cannot rule themselves because of the trouble between Fatah and Hamas. There's a split in the leadership, etc. What is your opinion of this particular issue, of the split between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, and now the latest reconciliation? And do you feel that this leadership, this appointed political leadership, can take the Palestinians forward?
Unity is always a strength to any people. And division is a weakness. We are against this division, and we are trying our best, working with other groups, with our parties, to end this division. At the same time, we are the opposition of Oslo Accords that was signed by the leadership of PLO. We are part of PLO. We are founders of PLO also. So it's this what we gained in our struggle, that we have a representative which was recognized by many countries. But unfortunately, we reached to a point that there is a big division, and it's not on the upper level, it's in the society now. And this is very dangerous. So it's important to reach to a point to reconciliate between, because the two big movements who have this division between Hamas and Fatah, and then we build a unity on democratic basis where all of us are a part of making our decisions, and to have a new strategy, a national strategy for facing occupation, because there is a mainstream calling for negotiations. We are against it because it doesn't. For 21 years, it gave us more settlements, more confiscating land, more killings, more aggressions against Gaza, and at the same time, we have to have this strategy of facing all the challenges, whether on the local level or on the international level, to have this strategy where everybody is committed to it, then we can achieve more and more achievements for our people.
One of the greatest challenges, I think, in the Palestinian society is the PA's support with Israel in terms of security cooperation. Is there any discussion amongst the Palestinian people to end this?
Yes, it's every day you read or you hear anywhere, especially with the social media now, calling for stop this coordination between PA and
We're
Israel.
very fast running out of time, and I have this important question to ask because you're a woman. And of course, beauty plays a very important part. And one of the things that has been written a lot about you is that you underwent plastic surgery after the first hijacking so that you could not be recognized. Why did you do that? And what did you feel why did you feel it was necessary to do that?
No, I accepted to do that because I wanted to go for another mission. And I was promised that if I succeed in the first mission, I will go for another mission. And it was, and for me, it's an honor to be given such mission. But of course, for security reasons, I have to change some features. Although it was very difficult for the doctor to change. He said, you have very strict features. I can't change. But I went undergo 6 operations to change, but it was for the worse, not for the better. Yes. And the doctor we deceived him. I told him I want to get married and my husband cannot come to Lebanon where I was based, and I want to go to Europe. There I'm not allowed to go there. And after the fourth operation, he said, I'm a doctor to beautify people, not to make them more ugly. And what is this husband who will accept you in this when he saw after the operation? But I didn't care much about it. Although I am a woman and I care about my beauty, if I have some of it, but for a homeland, I was ready and still ready to give my life. So it's not important to change.
And I've read a quote, often you speak about beauty of the mind. You feel that's more powerful and more important. Okay, as a parting thought, we have 30 seconds. What message would you like to leave the South Africans and at the same time the Palestinians?
Now I'm here, I came to South Africa to promote the culture of BDS and to spread the news and expose our enemy and the realities of this conflict, the changes that is going on in our region, not only in Palestine, but also in the countries around Palestine. Because more knowledge and more raising awareness, it will give us more support. When people know more, they will realize the realities in a scientific way. And at the same time, I believe that BDS has been experienced in the world and it succeeded. So this time it should succeed also in its goals. That's why I came here. And for my people, I say that you have a twin people called the South Africans.
Alhamdulillah. BDS, as the final comment, has launched on a targeted campaign, and the most targeted campaign is Woolworths. Do you believe they should continue with the campaign against Woolworths?
Yes.
They should?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for being here, and with that I'd like to say Jazakallah khair, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.